4:30. I'd like to call the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Decatur to order. We've got a couple things before us this afternoon. To begin with, we have some housekeeping. The minutes were distributed via email for the previous meeting. Do I have a motion? Do we accept the minutes as distributed?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I am at this moment passing around a notice of publication of the meeting and notice of the surrounding property owners for the Krukerberg application. We'll take a minute so we all verify that those have been satisfied. We'll make that a matter of public record. Now that everyone's had the opportunity to review both the proof of publication and the affidavit of notification of surrounding property owners, do I have a motion to make those items both a matter of public record?
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Both items are now a matter of public record. The petition before the board this afternoon is from Krugerberg Auction and Realty, is requesting a special exception for gun sales at their auction facility at 815 West Adams Street, Decatur, Indiana. Refer to City Code, Section 150.171, uses permitted by special exception within the I-1 Industrial District, and a note that all uses in industrial districts in the City of Decatur need to be approved by special exception, which is why we have this application this afternoon. Is there anybody here from the applicant to make the presentation to the board? Please come forward. If you'd want to have a seat at the table, Roger will make sure that the microphone's on. Please introduce yourself by stating your name and your business.
Trevor Gray, representative of Krugerberg Auction and Realty.
And go ahead and make your application, please.
Application, we are just trying to, as part of the step that we have to take to get our federal gun dealer license. We pretty much just want to do it to better our customers, because right now we have to go to a different dealer, and it's just a hassle because they got to then pay them and we got to transfer, so we're just getting our own. That way we can do it ourselves, and just a less hassle for our customers in the long run.
Do you have any more information for the board before we start with questions?
No, sir.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the applicant?
I have one. Trevor,
Yeah.
are you talking about getting them licensed so that if you have an auction
Right,
on
if
site,
we have-
that you can sell
Right,
guns
right
rather
now,
than do
if
it
we
for another
bring
party?
license, or if we bring guns in, they all have to be transferred, and so we're just getting our license so we can do the transfer ourselves instead of taking them to someone else.
Are you talking about limiting the sale of guns in the context of auctions, or are you going to have
No,
guns
just-
for sale otherwise?
Right, we're just doing it for auctions. We're not going to put a gun shop in at the facility. We're just doing it for auction reasons.
If the,
No repair on as is sale.
Yeah, yep.
okay. And there's no problem with a restriction being included with, or a condition included with the special use exception. It's limited to auction sales.
Right.
And it will be just guns, not ammunition?
Correct. At this point, you can sell ammunition without a license for auction, so, I mean, it's just for guns.
Okay, I do have a question. I know that when you're in preparation for an auction, materials start to show up several days in advance. What security precautions are you going to make for the firearms that may show up in advance of the event?
We have already purchased a, I believe it's a 50-gun fireproof gun safe that's already at our facility. So we have a big safe for that matter.
Okay, that answers my question. Any other questions from the board?
This is basically handguns or shotguns, rifles.
It's, yeah, pretty
It's
much.
not anything military or
Right,
that the owners may have.
right.
Well, it could be, right? I
What's
mean,
that?
It could be though, correct? If an owner has that gun, or say an estate sale or whatever, and there happened to be an assault weapon in that, would you still be doing that?
If the opportunity comes about us, we would, I mean, I suppose if it's illegal, yeah, if it's legal, then we would probably.
I'm just,
Yeah, the term assault weapon is a very generic term that
Yeah.
covers a lot of different things. There would be military fully automatic weapons that would not be able to be sold with conventional firearms license,
Right.
that would require special licensing.
Correct, correct.
So, and I know I am not informed enough to speak to that subject. Any additional questions from the board? Hearing none, are there any attendees in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to the application? Nobody speaking in opposition. Is there anybody in attendance that would like to speak in support of the application? We'll close the open questions. Are there any additional questions from the board?
no.
No.
Any recommendations from the city attorney for the restriction?
I would suggest that the board consider adding a restriction or condition to the granting of the special use exception, that it would limit sales of guns on site during auctions only.
Motion for that,
I think when you get to the point of...
As we get to that
finding of
point.
fact, when you get to any conditions, that's where you would have that language.
So if say another auction company would come to us and need us to transfer other firearms, would that be good?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I don't think that you would be restricted, it's just that you can't conduct a sale otherwise, unless it's in the context of an auction.
Right,
You could store
The
guns.
a restriction on retail business.
okay,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, it's like, no, I got another thing, just like you say, Gary, I don't know how to speak to it, but you guys do a lot of online sales. Would this be online sales also, or you know, I don't know.
We would, I mean, that would be just as much as any online sale is, for the most part, live, so it'd pretty much be the same thing. I mean,
Again, that would be something that ATF or Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms would have jurisdiction over. And typically, if it was sold at an auction or an online auction, it would have to be transferred from a federal firearms licensee in the state of Indiana
Right.
to a federal firearms licensee to somebody in the state of the purchaser, and then they complete the paperwork to maintain the paper trail. Also, one additional question that I had thought of and I forgot to ask was, with certain weapons, there's a waiting period before they can pick up the weapon. Does the safe that you're talking about provide adequate storage for that 7, 14, 21-day waiting period?
Yes.
Okay. So there likely will be firearms on site before and after sale events.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with that, I just wanted to clarify that point. So if we are ready to read the findings of fact, a special exception is required for uses of such an unusual nature that their operation may give rise to unique problems with respect to their impact upon neighboring property and public facilities. As I mentioned earlier, all industrial uses in the city of Indiana require a special exception. This board may authorize a special exception for certain uses as defined in this chapter, providing the applicant has provided information that the proposed special exception will be in compliance with all applicable conditions and requirements of this chapter. We have 6 conditions that I will read. A yes vote by the board means that they agree and have no problem with it. If there is a no vote, we will document why the board member has voted no, and then it is a simple majority for the special exception to be granted. Item number 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. The special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. The establishment of the special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property or uses permitted in the district.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. The special exception will be located in a district where such use is permitted and where all other requirements set forth in 150.193 applicable to the special exception will be met.
Yes.
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 4 yes, 0 no. It is therefore the decision of the board that the petition for special exception is granted or denied,
Granted.
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 subject to any conditions stated herein. That condition would be that the firearms,
I would say that you, this is the condition that you discussed. Sale of guns on site should be limited to on-site auctions and live online auctions.
That's correct. But also, if we would have say an auction at someone's house, we would have the law states you have to bring the guns back to your facility and do the transfer there. So that would
The transfer, but the sale would actually be done at the off-site location.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
so this will become the central repository for firearms from other auctions conducted by your company.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sure there's other auction companies that do the same thing. I mean, do auctions and sell guns quite frequently, you see it advertised.
Right.
Let me correct this then to address what Trevor just said. I'm going to suggest then that the condition be sale of guns shall be limited to sales during public auctions and live online auctions. That way, if there's a public auction off-site, but they have to come back to complete the transaction on-site, that's covered.
Mr. Carbone?
What happens if they don't abide by your restrictions? Just curious. Do you have a recourse,
Yeah, the special exception is a violation of the special exception.
and you just,
They
would at that point, deny it?
Well, at that point, they'd be called back in for a hearing to determine whether it would be terminated.
And if the special exception was revoked, they would no longer be able to continue to do business at that location in that aspect of the business or the firearms.
Understand.
So, your request for special exception is granted, subject to the still being revised
The sale of guns on
restriction.
site shall be limited to sales during public auctions and live online auctions.
And the city attorney will fill that in as the documents get passed back to him. Thank you very much. Do we have any other old business before the BZA this afternoon? We do have some new business that Roger wants to bring up for discussion.
You want to bring it up here, or Plan Commission?
I think we need to do it at both.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, out there at the Rex Harris strip mall there on 13th Street. In front of you, I put down the paper, he's having trouble with golf balls, damaging cars and busting windows out because they park behind the building. And they're wanting to put up some kind of netting, but he didn't, kind of just got a hold of me in the last couple of days, so he doesn't have a real good drawing or anything, but his big issue is his back property line is only 5 feet off the back of this building. And we give him permission to park out on that utility easement back there. Okay? He's proposing putting some ballards in the ground that are flush that he can slide poles in and out of to attach the netting to, so they need to get in there doing utility work, all that stuff can come down very easily. But I didn't know what to tell him. He didn't have detailed enough drawings for me to make a decision, and I just wanted to bring that up and tell you that once I get some more detailed information from him, I'm probably going to try to present it to you again, or the Plan Commission. I don't know which one I should go in front of. I don't even know whose easement that is. Tim, can you help us out? Remember
Well, that's
discussed that on?
There's some history on that property.
Yeah, the city acquired the ownership through quitclaim deeds. What happened was, two individuals owned a lot of that ground at one time together. They sold off what is now the golf course, but they reserved the east 60 feet that runs from Dayton Avenue down to, what's the street that goes into Hannah-Nutman? Mivers.
Yeah.
Okay. With the intent that the ground that they owned between there and US 27, that was all going to be platted into a subdivision, and it was obvious the intent was that they were going to add that as a public thoroughfare or street.
Okay, so that is our easement.
So what happened was, when they laid out the plat for the subdivision, they didn't include that 60-foot strip. So over time, it became an issue who actually owned it. It was never dedicated as a right-of-way, and so the city tracked down the heirs of these individuals and obtained deeds from all of them, so that we now own it. So we own the right-of-way, but we have granted to I&M a utility easement.
That's why I said they got, there is overhead power lines, they
Yeah.
have water.
And I think probably the appropriate thing to do would be for Mr. Harris to submit development plans for what he's talking about.
He's actually wanting to put something out on our, on our easement. It's not,
And I don't know I think that needs to be carefully considered by our utility departments, and I&M may have an objection to it.
yeah, that's right.
So I think the appropriate thing would be for him to submit plans that would probably go before the Plan Commission, not the BZA.
I think I got enough information, like, let's talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, and when Roger brought this before me, I was unsure and wanted to have this conversation to know where and what could be done,
Yeah.
and suggested that that needed to be staked and researched so we knew exactly where those easements were and what they were planning on doing. He submitted inadequate information for the request.
Well, if he's talking about putting it in our street or our right-of-way, that's going to be problematic, because we have a sewer line, I believe, that runs down that outlet, water and sewer. So it's a tight fit to begin with. If he wants to put it on his property, that's up to
He said
him.
that, so he's only got, if he wanted to stretch clear to the other side of that easement, that'd be You say it's 60-foot easement plus 5 feet from behind this building, that'd be a 65-foot stretch of netting that he'd want to put above there. I don't know.
Which direction is he putting the netting?
Onto the golf
Off
course.
the back of his building to the west.
To the
So
pole.
if he went
To the
65
pole.
feet, he would have to get approval from the golf course.
And I doubt very seriously that I&M's going to give him approval for that.
So the only other option would be get approval from us to put something in.
If he wanted to put a net that ran parallel with the back of his building, you know, on the edge of his property, he probably could do something like that.
That doesn't, that would protect his building.
I know, he's looking about cars on the other side of the building, I understand. That's the risk you take building near a golf course.
Well, they've exposed that when they cleared all that.
I understand.
Brush out of there.
I understand, but where they're hitting cars now, Bill, that brush wouldn't have stopped.
Well,
Maybe some.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's exposed it. I think, I talked to Jeremy, I think they need to do something back there. They can't leave that just all cleared out and exposed like that, or we as a city, because I mean, I think the city and the golf course should work together to try to help this new...
At this point, I think that needs to be taken care of with the building department, and then the final plans or idea presented to Plan Commission
And maybe
for
Mr. Harris
consideration.
can contact the golf course and try to work something out.
He stated in his letter they talked with Terry, and I don't know how much Terry's wanted to work with him on.
Yeah.
Well, Terry's put some netting and everything on, for example, on 13, protecting those villas over there. He had a lot of netting there. I think as a city, we should help this new building out. I mean,
Well, I totally agree with you, but we have determined that it is not a BZA issue,
okay.
and we'll have that conversation elsewhere. Any other new business?
No, not for the building board, no.
Do we know when our next meeting would be?
Wait a minute, there is one other thing, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The wireless access facilities, if we discussed it with the company that's looking to put up significant poles, we talked about
Yeah, mobile light.
companies approach the city, there's a possibility that there's going to be some poles put up strategically throughout the city that would then be used to sell to wireless providers so that they could mount facilities on the poles that would allow them to provide wireless access to different parts of the community. They've talked to the building and planning department, the mayor and myself. We've had a couple meetings and they're doing some revisions. Initially, they were talking wooden poles, and the poles could be anywhere from 45 to 80 feet.
Yeah, 70, 80 feet. Yeah.
And so there was some request that they consider using galvanized steel poles if they were a certain height. And there was also discussion about where they would be located. So that's probably something that's going to come before the BZA for a special use exception. It doesn't fit well within the code, but we do require that radio and TV antennas be approved by special use exception, and since this is radio frequencies, it's probably something that fits, although pretty loosely, and it may be something that we take a look at because as technology advances, we want to redefine what we're talking about when it comes to radio and TV or television antennas. But nonetheless, it'll probably come before the BZA at some point for approval as a special use exception, depending on the location. And then secondly, it'll probably come before the Plan Commission for site plan approval in terms of the actual construction.
Would that be per location or a blanket special exception?
Well, it's probably, you almost have to do it per location, because each location is going to be potentially unique, and you may have different objections depending on the location.
So simply locating an existing utility easement does not
And it may not
The
be,
gauge.
it may not be located in a utility easement.
Okay. Each one would be unique. Okay. Time frame?
I don't know for sure, but I would expect within the next few months.
Yeah, I'd say for the next 60 days or something.
Yeah.
All right. Any other new business? Any other items that we need to take care of? With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
BZA is adjourned for today. Thank you very much for your assistance. And in a few minutes, as soon as we...
You received the minutes of our previous meeting via email. Are there any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to accept as emailed.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept as email. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, I'm passing around the proof of publication and also the affidavit of names of those involved close to the location. So we'll need to make that a matter of record. Let's just look at it here first.
Every clerk.
Can't you read that, Bob? Can't you read that, Bill?
Between the house.
Do I hear a motion to make a matter of record the proof of publication as well as the affidavit of residents that received the message, the notification?
So, second.
I hear a motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, we have a petition before us from Pizza Hut of Fort Wayne requesting a site plan review for a new building at their site of 609 North 13th Street, Decatur, Indiana, 46733, referring to City Code Section 150.235, Procedures for Site Plan Review. Is there someone who would like to make a presentation?
Good evening. I'm Todd Bauer with Foresight Consulting, with the civil engineering land surveyors for the project. In addition, this evening we have Mike Kress and Greg DeWeese with Feldman Design Build, the contractor for the project. What we have submitted before you is a site plan approval request for construction of a new Pizza Hut facility. It'll be immediately north of the existing facility there on North 13th Street, approximately 5,450 square feet in size. The new facility will be constructed, brought to completion, and at which point the existing facility will be demolished and demoed. The parking lot that we're building on now, the existing site's parking lot, it'll be replaced with creation of a new parking lot once the old building is raised. We will use existing water and sewer infrastructure that's in the municipal alley, connecting to that and then terminate the same when we actually demolish the existing building. Really, it's a fairly simple project, as far as straightforward. We're going to build one, tear one down. I think we've detailed it fairly well in the plans, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, are there any questions from board members?
Question for the building department. Do we have department head review sheets?
No, I didn't get anything on these yet. I've talked to the water and fire department and things like that, the utilities. The water, the sanitary all runs in that alley in the back. There's taps there for the existing building. They'll probably want new down the way. Neither one of them had any issues with any of that kind of stuff.
Neither one of them meaning water and sanitary.
Right, yeah. So,
At what point, Roger, are we going to issue and give all of the department heads access to this information and their approval? I mean,
well, we've given most of them, they've
I
seen,
understand, but we used to, before
Yeah.
Nate Roomslow, our engineer, we used to,
they kind of got away from that.
exactly, and I think we maybe want to get back to it. I think, Greg, that's what you're kind
Yeah,
of referring to.
And not being an engineer, I want to
Yep.
tap into our professional resources to make sure that we haven't missed anything.
Right.
Yeah, that would be Jeremy, pretty much.
I mean, like this one, since this is a little bit different one, since it's, got like an existing parking lot, and the water, sewer stuff there, it's not like it's just new at a new plat, and it, Les is from the fire department, he's the fire chief, and, since you come across where you need sprinkler system in there, I mean, that's become a little bit of an issue with us about getting where that line's coming in, and I'm sure none of these drawings don't have any of the sprinkler room on it, or what you're gonna be putting on for, post indicator valves or something like that nature, we're gonna need to know that kind of stuff, but really,
That's all mandated by the state, correct?
well,
The fire protection, Les?
yeah, but as far as, that really doesn't, as long as we know where the water's coming in, because your drawings don't really have a sprinkler room put in there, but since it's been
Updated, I did bring some updated sets.
I don't even have one of those.
Right. I think we emailed them a couple days ago once the determination was made that we needed to provide fire protection. And we are bringing a 6-inch line across with a post indicator valve, and that's detailed on the plans I think we emailed a couple days ago, as well as these sets. But
Yeah, so, I mean, the utilities are all there. It's pretty good for what they want to do.
Well, and the question is, the utilities are there for the existing operation, but I would assume the fire protection is going to require a higher volume.
Yeah, there's a...
And there is-
yeah,
there's adequate-
Requires a 6-inch line, and there's a 12-inch main that runs
Okay.
to the west down that alley. There's,
So we have adequate capacity to provide the...
yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked that over with Mike, with Bill Carpenter.
It's not going to require any upgrades on the part of the city.
No.
Okay.
What about parking?
Yeah, that's my next question. What sort of interruption, we'll get back to you, Les. What sort of interruption to access, ingress, and egress to the property, and what is that going to do to the highway out front?
well, the current configuration of the access is a fairly wide entrance off of 13th Street. There will be some limitation of that through construction because we're constructing on the very north end of that, although it's still sufficient for two-way traffic to come in and off of 13th Street.
There will be two entrances maintained, or you're going to be able to do it with one?
Well, at present, we are leaving the southernmost one, which really isn't impacted at all through construction, to the south side of the existing building. The north one, we actually intend to narrow a little bit just simply because of the building placement. Again, though, it's extremely grand. I mean, it's a very wide entrance for what we actually need to do. So with the construction and the placement of the building on the north end of the property, we are going to narrow that entrance a little bit, but it's still more than sufficient to handle any traffic coming in and out. That would be part of the construction. During the construction period, there will be those northern spaces, let's say 15 of them, that will be lost while we're constructing the building, but we have adequate parking on site and adjacent to the site, but we think we can accomplish that and accommodate that without much interruption at all. Then obviously, once the new building's up and operational, the existing building comes down and we pick up those spaces that get lost during the construction of the new facility.
What is the construction time frame?
It'll be complete before the end of the year.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
very aggressive. Wonderful.
that same line, that parking lot that you're going to build on, that kind of butts right up against the street that you go into Rural King and so forth. Will there be construction equipment and stuff on that street from time to time that might hinder people coming and going from there?
There shouldn't be. I mean, I think we can do our construction operations within the existing parking lot
Yeah.
and not have any impact on the
I don't know how
access
much-
to Rural King.
How much space there is between that parking lot and that Fairway Drive? There is, when the entrance to like Rural King, there's pretty good sized grass.
There's still a fair amount of lawn area, and,
I don't know how much that is.
well, I don't think we're really decreasing that at all. In fact, I think the edge of the parking lot now is a little bit north of where our drive will be for the future access, so we should be able to construct it within the confines of the property and have no impact on the adjoining.
Good.
We'll probably have some impact on the alley because with the water and sewer being over there, we'll have nominal impact that make the connections eventually. But those will be open and operational during construction as well.
Beth, you had a question or a comment?
Well, he said he's got a detailed set of drawings, and one of the things we wanted to be sure of is that there was an indicating valve in the sprinkler system. We've had some issues in the past where sprinkler systems have been put in and there is no, we like post indicating valve, but I realize that there's sometimes that it could be a valve on the building, but as long as it's indicating that it's open or closed, and that would be covered under NFPA 13. So he kind of answered that there would be an indicating valve in the system.
Okay, just for educational purposes, what is that valve?
It's called indicating valve. If you see those little red towers out by you, like a good example there is 91, plant 91.
Yeah.
There's a red stake or tube that sticks up out of the ground. It's not a hydrant. But when you drive past on that little glass window, it'll say open.
Oh, so there's a mechanical indicator in there.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
locked open, and so we can drive by and we can tell that the water is going to the system. So
Okay.
and it just indicates the water's on to the sprinkler. And so if anybody would close that, as they close it and then lock it, it would say closed. So the sprinkler code does require an indicating valve. And it's something Roger and I talked today, we need to address in our own ordinance, that those don't slip past us anymore. But
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
To address his, and just to follow up, we do have a post indicator valve between the alley and the actual drive that would loop around for drive-through pickup, so we have provided a post indicator valve to meet that need.
and our preference to the builder would be a 5-inch storage for the fire connection.
Any other questions from board members?
Yeah, I do. During construction, you said you're going to lose approximately 15 parking spaces. Is that correct? And do you have any idea or the count on how many existing parking spaces would remain available?
I did not have an actual count, but,
Because you're going to continue to do business in your existing building until you switch over to the one you're constructing, I assume. You're not going to have any business interruption other than maybe a day or two when you transition from one building to the other.
More than likely, there will be probably a 3 to 4 week window where there will be no business when we tear the old facility. We won't build and complete the new facility and then open it up and then tear it down. We'll tear the other one down before we open the new store up.
Okay. Once you start construction, you're going to lose those 15 parking spaces.
Correct.
So the question is, how many remaining parking spaces do you have that's going to be able to service the existing building?
it would appear from the plan approximately 45.
Based on the square footage of the building, that should be more than adequate.
I would think so. I think that you're still fine there.
But it's a temporary situation.
Right. Do you lose any additional parking spaces due to the staging of equipment and materials?
Staging, we actually, there's some probably nominal periods.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it'll kind of go in spurts as far as, we'll try not, with the site being as tight as what it is, we'll try not to bring as much material on site unless we're using it.
So you're not really going to have an on-site laydown yard?
If it will be inside the confines of the new construction area. We won't be taking up any more additional parking than the construction.
Just curious, Sharon, are we going to get Dwight Pierce's input on landscaping? He caught me on the last project, and usually he has these white sheets where he can actually point out what he'd like to see or what he's recommended for landscaping. And we missed it on the last one, but we did get it included. So I guess that's my question. On your landscaping, trees, grass, do you have any areas that you can give us how you're going to landscape it?
I think it's in here.
It shows some islands
Yeah.
on
Yeah, I
there.
see grass and that, but as far as trees or whatever, or,
Well, for the most part, we've used some small shrubs in and around the building. Which
Okay.
we do include there. And then, the lawn area will remain lawn, and some of those island areas will also be planted back as lawn. And we really don't have a significant plan there. Pizza Hut typically likes to embellish it somewhat on their own once they get it operational.
understand.
But we've got a kind of a base plan there.
With the new building, I see where you kind of butted up to that island. For the old building, you've left an area for walking. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And in other words, you're actually taking more of that north area right out to your islands.
correct.
And I guess the only thing I'm saying, as a city, we actually missed out on putting sidewalks along 13th Street
Okay.
on all these developments. I kind of would recommend that this island on it'd be the east side and the north side, that you not restrict that too much, to leave maybe areas to walk through. That's I don't have any authority there, but I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, if somebody wants to walk, for example, from Taco Bell to Pizza Hut or through that area, now that you butted up to the island, before they could walk in front of your building to the east side on the old building.
Well, we have a sidewalk that runs the entire south face that connects east and west sides
On the south.
on the south. Correct. Because the north side is really just pickup. It's not intended to be
Yeah.
a general public access.
I guess what I'm trying to say, if you landscape that where it'd be pedestrian friendly,
We can certainly
instead
look
of
at that. Right. No, I think we can do that. And actually, with the placement of our drive around the building, and we've moved that drive further away from 13th Street, so it does leave more lawn area, and there should, at some future date, a walkway or path or something be proposed either by the city or by NDOT. So it's a little more accommodating, at least through that new development section we're looking at.
On your street signage, are you going to retain the existing sign, or is there new signage going to be constructed? And that would be subject to NDOT first and then City of Decatur second.
My initial thought would be the existing monument sign would remain, and then we would have new signage on the building, so, but no new monument.
they're just setbacks when it comes to highway, as far as putting signs.
That was there before the highway went through. We don't know what the highway did to your
How do you handle the stormwater drainage?
A portion of the site was picking up the downspouts across the south face, as well as the northeast corner of that site. We're actually picking back up into a storm sewer system, taking it into the system that drains 13th Street, and we're in the process of having conversations with NDOT about that since that's their jurisdiction. The very far northwest corner actually drains from the building corner out into the lawn area where it will then infiltrate and percolate, and then anything in excess of that will actually come back into the drainage system that's along.
So you're going to have a net gain or loss of hard surface?
Overall, we have a loss.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a big gain as far as green space, but overall it is a loss of hard surface. Then the south parking lot itself continues to drain as it does, with the exception that we pull the building out and tie into the elevations, but we have no new proposed storm sewer infrastructure south of the building. And it just drains back to where it was. It's almost all impervious now, so it's really not a net change as we look at the development of the project.
And with the absence of the city engineer, who would be responsible for reviewing the lighting plan? Jeremy?
I don't know, let me have a look at that. I mean, parking lot lighting,
I mean, there's no residential
yeah,
surrounding that there would be infiltration or those types of things.
yeah, it's not gonna hurt anybody out there.
So the lighting plan in this situation is not relevant?
Yeah, it's not gonna impact any residential thing. I'm sure they got a typical box direction or directs all the light down, and, it's not.
Is that the intent, is directional lighting that would be focused on the parking surface itself?
Correct.
And we have an easement to the west end of this whole property, is that right, Roger? Is
Yeah,
that-
that's where,
is that-
that's where the utilities run.
Is that kind of like, Ashley goes from Library clear down?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We also, Pizza Hut also granted to the city a utility easement that runs across the property from east to west, so that it connects out to the highway from the alley.
Where does the drainage go now, Roger? Does it go
Most of this.
west to our,
Yes.
to that easement area?
Yeah.
And there's probably drainage back on that property, on our easement?
Yeah, there's green space in behind that parking space there before you get to that rural key lot. And it all flows west to 224, or south to 224, then west to that.
Right. And we've not had a drainage situation there?
They've never had
It's always been adequate?
No.
Is the, what you're draining into on the north side, you mentioned that you're going to tie into a stormwater drain there. Do you know the capacity of that drain?
I don't know, I mean, the capacity, it is, if I remember correctly, it's a 15-inch line that we're tying into that runs from, there's a manhole on the site that, or within the right-of-way that ties into the main trunk line along 13th Street or 27. It's a 15-inch, I mean, given the size of the building, which is, I mean, it's 5,000 square feet, but it's not a huge building, and with what we're doing, we really felt like we could have drained it with an 8-inch pipe. We've, I think, shown larger just to keep more flow area and capacity. But the pipe itself has ample capacity to handle our development.
Any further questions? Okay, if not, then, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the building? Do you know it? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the building? Seeing no one? Are there any final questions, comments from the board or from the applicant? Any comments? Okay, do we just need a motion to make this preliminary or
Is the
preliminary
preliminary site?
site decision?
Preliminary site plan.
And do I hear a motion to make this a preliminary approval as a preliminary site plan?
I'd so move.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
Is there, well, you say you just want this to be the preliminary, or if there's no issues, there's saying naturally they're in a hurry, like everybody else.
Do you want it to be preliminary and final?
Yeah,
Well,
it's what they're shooting for. If you're,
Is there any need for any further review by any of the departments?
Yeah, we're comfortable with all the other department heads approving what's being done, Roger, pretty much.
yeah, I'm talking, like I said, we've had Berlin out there
Yeah.
with the drainage,
Right.
sanitary, and I talked in length with Bill with the water. And there's no issue with that 12-inch back there.
And I think Dwight may,
Yeah, I'll have him look at the
maybe,
landscaping.
yeah, and I don't think that's a problem either,
That's
because I
something,
think,
you got all kind of, room under your
exactly,
seat.
I think you'll do a fine job, so.
They'll probably have plannings up around the
okay,
building.
then, as the maker of the motion, do you,
Yeah, I want to make this preliminary and final.
Okay, now is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Glad to see that we're going to have a new building along there.
When is the
Progress.
start date? As soon as I can get it, man.
How much bigger is it?
Not big, right? I mean, the building itself is just, yeah, it's about
Well, is it?
size, it's just new.
Just laid out a little better.
Is it, does it going to have drive-through or drive pickup, as I never saw the
Yeah.
one thing? Didn't ask that question earlier. but I
It's
thought
cute,
it
off record, that when the radio stations would go out and do their remote, I was listening to one of the remote stations, and he said he was at the Pizza Hut doing his story. He said, we're right here at the tallest building in Decatur. Which was kind of cute, because Decatur's not noted for having tall buildings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where's our stamp?
Okay, moving on then, is there any old business that we need to discuss?
As far as new business, we heard discuss about the mobile light around
Yeah.
Handwriting.
thing with Chris Harris. I'll take care of talking to him and get some better drawings and hey, come up with a different plan than what he's got. And the only other thing I got that maybe would be of interest is, Arnold's Drive-In.
Yes.
They applied for a demolition permit. That building's coming down Old Fenimore Point.
Oh,
And they're going to be a new Verizon store.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
So, haven't received any, site layout on that yet. That's coming right around.
See a Verizon store.
So they'll move from
Which
the
means that
South
they'll move
Shopping
from the-
Center? They'll move from the South Shopping Center?
Probably, yes. I'm anticipating that, yeah. But that's... they've already
It'd be good to get that down. It's
Maybe they'll have an auction.
going down here.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do another new one out there.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah.
Any other new business? Does anyone have anything? Hearing none, I will accept the motion to
You guys
adjourn.
don't have any additional comments on that Harris, about that netting, you just, I'll just go ahead and get, we need some better information.
I think we need more information. I
Yeah.
think maybe we need to get the golf course involved, and Jeremy's got some ideas what they want to put, the utility company wants to put landscaping back in there again.
When they get done with their operation, they're replacing
Right.
that stuff through there.
Yeah, and I guess we need to know kind of what they're going to do there.
Yeah.
If he wants to protect his building, it used to be that Schaefer would get, when Schaefer had his dealership there.
Get hit all the time.
Exactly. And that's kind of the area, I don't think Sullivan has any problem. People don't slice that much, I guess, is that the expression?
Yeah.
They slice and the wind blows it that way.
Yeah, but I think we can help him out with some type of netting there.
Come up with something.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's a nice building, and there's no sense having it get beat up.
Yeah, but I think also you need to know where they're talking about locating and what type of materials.
Exactly.
Because
Height for the...
height, I mean, there's a lot of issues that really,
There's a lot of stuff going on in that corridor.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but they don't need it high just to protect the building and cars. I guess that's what I'm saying. You put the thing 15, 20 foot high, the netting, and you're protecting the building and the cars.
Yeah, he'd actually addressed as far as like, he wanted to set poles out and then attach something to the
Yep.
building and have
Just-
like the netting run
Right,
over the top.
right. So I don't think it's a,
And that looked almost like a carport from what he had drawn.
Right. So the netting up on top to catch the,
Yeah.
I guess to catch the pop up, I don't know what to do about the line drive.
oh, well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I may not be able to play there anymore.
Do we need to adjourn?
Yes, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All. See you the next week. We have another meeting scheduled by any chance? I didn't ask.
We don't have anything yet.